Hi, it's Miss Cooper here. I'm so excited to read this story with you today. It's called Bringing Down the Moon, and then we'll work together on the learning packet together after. Follow along and read with me. Today's book is called Bringing Down the Moon. I see a lot of chunks here. Ing, bring, and OW, ow, and down. The moon, those OOs say ooh. And it's by Jonathan Emmett and illustrated by Vanessa Cabin, which means Jonathan wrote the words and Vanessa made the pictures. So what I'm going to do is make my prediction. What do I think this book is going to be about? I see the moon. I see a mole, that's what that animal is called, and I see it's holding a stick. So maybe this is going to be about this mole it looks like it's trying to reach at the moon. So maybe this is going to be about the mole pulling down the moon and trying to get to it. Let's read this book, see what it's about, and see if our predictions are correct. I would love to know what you think is going to happen. Make your prediction now. All right, let's turn the page. Let's see if we're right. So this is the table of contents. I see that this book is a fantasy book, which means it's not real, and it's on page 4. So let's turn to page 4. Oh, I see our title page, Bringing Down the Moon, and our author and illustrator are on there again. So page 4 is where our book begins. Hot! Follow along with the words as I read it aloud to you. "Hot diggity!" exclaimed Mole as he burrowed out of the ground one night. "Whatever's that?" The moon was hanging in the sky above him, like a bright silver coin. Mole thought that it was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. "Whatever it is, I must have it," Mole said to himself. "I know, I'll jump up and pull it down." Thump, thump, thumpity bump. Mole was so busy jumping he didn't think about the noise he was making, and he woke up Rabbit in her burrow. "Mole," said Rabbit, "what on earth do you think you're doing?" "Hello, Rabbit," said Mole. "I'm trying to pull down that shiny thing." "You mean the moon?" asked Rabbit. "So that's what it's called," said Mole. "You'll never do that," said Rabbit. "It's not as close as it looks." Now that we've read that book, I want you... But Mole would not give up. "I know," he thought. "I'll get a stick and poke it down." He found a long stick and poked it up at the moon. Swish, swish, swishity, swish. Mole was so busy poking that he tripped over Hedgehog in his bed of leaves. "Mole," grunted Hedgehog, "what are you up to?" "Hello, Hedgehog," said Mole. "I'm trying to poke down the moon." "You'll never do that," said Hedgehog. "It's not as close as it looks." But Mole would not give up. "I know," he thought. "I'll throw something at it and knock it down." He found some acorns and threw them at the moon. Plink, plink, plinkety, plink. "Ouch!" said Squirrel. "Mole, have you gone nuts?" "Hello, Squirrel," said Mole. "I'm trying to knock down the moon." "You'll never do that," said Squirrel. "It's not as close as it looks." But Mole wanted the moon so badly he would not give up. "I know," he thought. "I'll climb a tree and carry it down." Mole had never climbed a tree before. It was hard work, and he was scared to be so far from the ground. But he kept on going until he saw the moon resting in the leaves above him. Mole stretched out his paws, but just when he thought he had the moon, he slipped. "Oh, eek! Ouch! Ooh!" Mole tumbled down and landed splash in the middle of a puddle. Hot diggity drat, thought Mole. I almost had it that time. Then he noticed something floating in the puddle beside him. It was pale and wrinkled, but Mole recognized it at once. The moon, whispered Mole. It must have fallen down with me. He reached out to pick up the moon, but as soon as he touched it, it broke into pieces and vanished. So did the moon really fall with him? No, he's just looking at what's called the reflection. Just like you can see yourself in the mirror, you can see the moon in the water's reflection. Mole sat in the puddle and cried. Rabbit, Hedgehog, and Squirrel came running up. Are you all right, Mole? Asked Rabbit. I'm all right, sobbed Mole, but the moon isn't. I pulled it down and then I broke it, and it was so beautiful, and now I'll never see it again. Oh, Mole, said Rabbit, you couldn't have pulled down the moon. And you couldn't have broken it, said Hedgehog. And you certainly will see it again, said Squirrel. Look! High up in the sky above them, the moon was coming out from behind a cloud. Oh, whispered Mole, and it's just as beautiful as ever. Mole, Rabbit, Hedgehog, and Squirrel stood and stared up at the moon together. It's beautiful, said Rabbit. Very beautiful, said Hedgehog. Very beautiful indeed, said Squirrel. Yes, said the Mole, but it's not as close as it looks. Now that we've read that story together, I want us to think about what we learned, what we read about. So who in this story was the main character? The character that did the most in the story, the character that the story was mostly about. Was it about the mole? Was the main character the squirrel? Or was the main character the rabbit? Circle your answer now. Let's think. The mole was on almost every page in the story. He did a lot of the talking. He did most of the activity. I think he was the main character. Squirrel was in it for a little bit, and so was Rabbit. So they were not the main characters. They were just supporting characters. Now next I want to think about the setting of the book. Where did the book take place? Was it in the woods during the daytime? I see the sun. Was it in the woods at nighttime with the moon out? Or was it at the beach with sand and water on a sunny day? The whole book was about finding the moon. So it cannot be on the sunny days. Whoops. Sorry, Miss Cooper. Can't be on the sunny days. It was a dark nighttime. That was the setting of the book. Awesome job if you got that. Now, our last question, number 3. I want you to write about what the mole does to try to pull down the moon. He does a lot of things. Let's think. In the beginning of the book, he tried jumping and reaching it, but all that did was make the rabbit angry. And then he tried to use a stick to poke the moon down, but that didn't work either. And then he tried to climb the tree to maybe grab the moon. That didn't work either. But our question here is write about what Mole does to try to pull down the moon. So I want you to choose one way that he tried to pull it down. So Miss Cooper is going to write about how he tried to poke the moon down. So, Mole, I'm going to use a capital M. Ooh, O said its own name. I know it has a bossy E. Mole. New word, tried. I'd. Mole tried 2, we know that one, T-O-T-O. Mole tried to poke, poke. Ooh, it said its own name, Bossy E. Mole tried to poke the, we know the, T-H-E, T-H-E, da. Mole tried to poke the moon. There's a chunk. Moon down. Down. I don't have much room. I'm gonna squeeze it. Ow. There's a chunk. N. And at the end we need a period. So let's read Miss Cooper's sentence. I want you to try your own sentence, or you can copy this one if you're having trouble. Mole tried to poke the moon down. Yep, so that was one way that mole tries to pull down the moon. I want you to write another way, if you can think of another way. Awesome job today. I'm so proud of how hard you worked on your learning packet. Please send your teacher pictures of your hard work so that we can see how much you've been learning.